Welcome to Hack the Real Size podcast with Heather, Ashley, and myself, Keira, where we like to delve into the lives of people in the entertainment industry with a little bit of cheeky fun. And tonight's guest is the beautiful Veronica Clayton. Now, she is an actress, a writer, a producer. We found out today a singer as well. She has been in Chad and Preemptive Strike and for Living, is that it?
Living movie.
Living movie, brilliant. So she's done so many things. She's like a quadruple threat. She is the woman to ask if you want to know the ins and outs of literally any part, I think, of the entertainment industry right now, because it sounds like you have got your finger in a lot of pies. So you're going to have a wealth of knowledge. So we're so excited that you've come on with us today. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was quite an intro. Thank you for having me here. I love you guys.
Yay. So the way it works is I will start with just a few icebreaker questions. I like to call them my little ridiculous questions. I just like to get to know people. I think it's nice to get out of your head, especially when you're going to start talking about something more in depth, like career and, you know, the way you've got places and things like that. So we'll have a little bit of fun first. Are you ready?
Yes.
Wonderful. So these can be quick fire, so you don't have to think too much about them. Or don't feel that you've got to come up with a super smart question, a super smart answer straight away. It's fine. So easy one. What side of the bed do you sleep on?
I sleep on the left side.
So this always confuses me. Is that left when you're lying in the bed or left when you're looking at the bed?
Left when I'm lying and looking. There we go. Yeah.
Brilliant. I love how you've got to turn around as well. I'd have to do the same thing.
I put a giant pillow. I hug this pillow because I don't like when my chest collapses.
Oh.
I have one in front and then one behind, and I'm just like,
really?
Have you seen the pillows that are U-shaped?
Yes. And I'm sure my friend, because she was pregnant not too long ago and then she had her baby, and she's got this massive pillow that's 2 humans long. So yeah.
You're going to get yourself one of those?
I need one. I just feel like if I do that, then I don't know. There's no coming back from it. I just might keep it, and then
there's none.
No, that's fine. One of our other guests slept with his head on the pillow and another pillow on top of it, like a sandwich.
I do that because it blocks out the noise.
Earplugs, less chance of accidental smothering in the night. Oh, wow. What takeout food do you think is the best?
I love orange chicken. Orange chicken. I don't know if it's just because single woman working hard, gotta eat quick, but broccoli, white rice, and orange chicken.
Oh,
good. Oh, yeah.
That sounds good. What song is guaranteed to get you on the dance floor in a club?
Oh, that's a good one. Snap. I haven't danced in forever. Thank you, quarantine.
I was going to say a club, if you remember that far back as to what they are. I don't think I do.
What is a club? What is that contraption?
It's a sandwich, a club sandwich.
Oh, we know sandwiches a lot.
I really can't think of maybe a Mark Anthony song. I like reggaeton. So
nice. Yeah.
Or a Daddy Yankee or something. I don't know.
Dancing. Oh my God, that's taking me back. And heels, what are they?
What are those?
I don't think they're going to make a comeback for me. Heels, we passed that phase.
I don't think the last time we wore heels. It must be.
Button waistband, that's a negative for me.
Must be a year since I wore heels. It must be. Well, that's so freaking depressing. Speaking of a club, what is your favorite cocktail?
So I don't really drink anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It was a dark time in my life. But if it was a wedding or something, I may have a glass of champagne, Uno. But I would say I had a mocktail yesterday, and it was I know who orders that, because you pay full price for juice, but whatever, I did it. And it was coconut and pineapple, and he put a little orange on it to make me look fancy, and then threw a cherry in there. So,
ooh. So it would be like a pina colada if you were adding alcohol to it then?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay, what's the cocktail? I just drink gin straight out the bottle now.
Well, you have children at home to homeschool for how many months now? You have a pass.
Yeah.
They go back to school in 2 weeks. Maybe, as long as they don't change everything. But
Yeah. Kira's
could-
like, that means I can drink gin alone now and I don't have to have my kids with me.
and I do think next week, the week before they go back to school, no one's going to do anything. I really do. I just think everyone's going to go, meh, school's problem now. My kid's dumb as soup. It's
I'll
nothing.
figure it out. It's fine.
It's fine. Who do you think inspires you the most?
My dad. Yeah, my dad, he's brilliant. He's funny, but in like a dry humor way, which that's my speed. Like, we're like best friends. And then he's just helpful and he's thoughtful, and those moments where sometimes you want to be selfish because maybe somebody hurt you, but you don't take into account like they're probably hurting you because they're hurt. He can easily identify that and then love a person. I'm like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, they're just hurting.
I have your dad's number on speed dial because it sounds like I need a little bit of his zen in my life.
He's amazing. And like growing up, he would take in kids that their families, they didn't really care about them or they weren't active in their life. And he was a coach. And so he just loved on so many people. And years later, they will come back to his house, like randomly, like on Christmas. And they're like, hey, Mr. Clayton, I just want to let you know that like I got a degree and I'm married and I have a kid and I've got all this stuff. And people come back. You must be doing something right if people come back years later, like, we love you. So.
That's amazing. Can we get him on the podcast?
Wow.
He sounds phenomenal.
Yeah, I'll tell him.
Wow. Oh my goodness, that's beautiful. So beautiful. On change of pace then, what do you think is an acceptable amount of episodes to binge watch something in one sitting?
That's a great question. I'm the wrong person to ask because at the height of quarantine 2020, I got obsessed with this show on Netflix. It's called The Resurrection. And there was another one called Magnificent Century. It's like a Turkish soap opera. And we think episodes, we think like, okay, one season, like 8, 10, maybe 12 or something. This is like 80 seasons or 80 episodes in one season or something crazy like that. And so I had to just like fast forward and just like watch the highlights of every episode. And I finished the entire season with my mother. And I mean, I was going on like 4 hours of sleep for months.
That's impressive. I love it. That's so good. I was hoping you weren't going to say like, I think anything more than 3 is a little self-indulgent because I'd be like, gosh, no, that is good.
My mom and I would like, she would watch one and catch me up, and then I would watch another one because we couldn't realistically watch every one. So we would just take turns and then just update each other.
You tag teamed it. You were so obsessed with getting through them all. You tag teamed it. That is, never mind your dad. I think that's pretty inspirational.
And the subtitles were so intense, but I loved it.
Yeah.
There's going to be people watching this now going, what was that she said? Well, that's a Turkish soap opera. They're going to find it now. They're going to find it. Resurgence for that one. Where did you and your best friend meet?
I would say class, actually. Yeah, an acting class.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So I have a few people that I would put in the best friend category, but there's one person that I talk, I would say the most with, that I'm like, it's just like really deep. And that friendship was through class.
Definitely. That's nice.
Communities.
Yeah.
Yes, it's bringing lots of us together, isn't it? Which film would you remake with just the Muppets with one human actor?
Maybe The Anchorman.
Ooh,
That was funny, right?
that's so good.
You said, do you have in mind which Muppet would play what part?
Oh, that's hard. Okay. Obviously Will Ferrell, so
Yeah, you'd keep him there.
keep him.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's good. That would be a very interesting film. I like that one.
Good.
What do you think is the greatest risk you've ever taken?
Ooh, greatest risk. Wow. Putting myself out there as far as collaborating. There was a project I was doing with a pretty well-known person. And at the time I had no idea what I was doing at all. And so I have this like original content and I just have to trust this person isn't going to like take my baby and run away with it. Right. So I just had to like blind faith. I just had to trust it, and we worked together, and it was amazing. Yeah, and I didn't get burned. So yeah,
That's wonderful. So it completely paid off then.
yeah. The song is still on the shelf, but I'll put it out at some point.
Nice.
And this one we love to ask everyone as well, because I'm a bit wondering when this is going to become less topical because of the year that we've had. But how long do you think you would survive in a zombie apocalypse?
Okay.
She's like, I have thought about this.
I have been waiting for this question.
I've seen your episodes and I know this comes up. That is a tough question every time.
Preparation. Somebody's watched our episodes.
Yes. Remember when y'all asked? That was so weird. Y'all asked Mark Rowley, and as soon as you did, I was like, tag me in. I've got the answer. First off, I'm from Texas. Okay, so there's not a Texan alive that doesn't have like a go bag, 3 guns, and like a Z-Pack somewhere. I'm serious. Like they just doomsday prepare. When you're born, that's part of your training as a Texan, right? So I do have water, and I know how to somewhat like plant. I'm not going to say that I can grow it to the full extent, but you can eat the seedlings and survive. So I can do that. And then, yeah, I've got rope. I feel like I have what I need. And I have the little tablets in case you have to find like nasty water and then purify it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got that. So
Sorted. I love it. She could live off the grid. Zombies will never find her.
yeah. And then I think there's a Bowie knife somewhere. I don't know.
Here, that guys need to buddy up with the Texan and you'll be sorted.
Be fine.
Well, I'm coming to find you when the zombie. We discovered that Mark was going to be useless to buddy up with in the zombie apocalypse. So, girl, we've got a
We're
little.
gonna come to you. That's what we're gonna do.
I'm sure my grandpa has a satellite phone. I'll just snatch it.
Awesome. I love it. That's so cool. Well, thank you so much for answering my questions. You aced them.
All of them.
I will pass you on to the capable hands of eeny, meeny, miny, Ashley.
Okay. Usually me and Heather switch, and we're like, Keira, just pick one. We don't care. Let's go.
Yeah.
You can see we're so
We're on our toes.
Do it.
You can do it.
So we've already talked about that you're from the great state of Texas, so we know where you are from, but how did you get into acting, producing, writing? Were they different stages in your life? What was that journey like?
So acting happened by mistake. I was in a coffee shop. I was looking a little bit crusty, but not so crusty that I couldn't go downstairs, which I lived in like the high rise above it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just going to get some tea because that's my jam. And I saw this, mature gentleman, older gentleman, and he was there with a friend. And I don't know, she seemed super sweet. He seemed sweet. And so I just kind of like locked eyes. And then I was staring, and I'm not used to people staring back. And so I was like, oh, did we just like have a moment? Like, so I was like, do I know you? Did I run into you? So I don't know who went up to who, but I was like, do I know you? And he's like, I don't know, but I like your energy. I was like, oh, okay. So he told me he had like a workshop, and there were actors and all of this. And it didn't click at the time. He was a celebrity, and it didn't hit me. Like I had no idea. And so, he invited me out to this workshop and everything. And later I like went and I Googled him. I was like, oh, okay. He means like workshop, like for real. So I went and I audited the class because it was an invite just to come check it out. He's like, I don't know what you do, but this will be fun. So I go, and I know nothing about acting, like not a drop. And there's all of these actors, and it was just fun. It was almost like I got to watch a movie being made in real time. And so he said something about notes, didn't know what notes were. I just thought it was my opportunity to throw my hand up and like interject. So I just started talking. I was like, ooh, and I gave my opinion. And then he praised me in front of the class for my boldness to speak out. And at the time I didn't realize how bold that was because they're not wanting to necessarily hear from someone who's not a professional. I had no idea. So anyway, that was a great experience. I went home, and then I thought to myself, it's just that. A great experience. I'm not an actor. I'm probably not going to go back. So fast forward, I go back to my everyday sales job. I was selling ads in a media, like online and in print media publication thing. And it was miserable. And about 2 years later, I just decided I'm going to message these people and see if I can come back. So I went, and I'm like, this is where I should have been the whole freaking time. how did I not get this? Like, why was I slaving away in a 9-to-5 miserable job when I could have been putting like whole productions together and just having fun with my friends? So I started going and I audited the class for like 6 months. I don't recommend doing it that long because, I mean, you got to get in there. Yeah. But I realized that I had no idea what I was doing. I literally Googled, like, do you look into the camera? What are sides? Yeah. And then I was afraid I couldn't memorize like 3 pages worth of dialogue. It just seemed so difficult looking for, like, as an outsider perspective. So anyway, I jumped in, I did it, and I had fun. I was like, oh gosh, this is where I should be. So I joined, and then through my class, I met various different people. Like, everybody in the class wants to do more than just acting. A lot of people are like, I'm acting, but I also enjoy writing. I enjoy photography or whatever it is. And so I connected with the community, and like literally everything I've done to this point has been through collaborations. And anyway, that's how I got my start, and it's amazing.
I love how you said, like, you kind of checked it out for a little bit and then were like, I'm just going to do it. And I think that that's where everybody starts. Like, you don't know the lingo until you're in it, you know, and then you've taken classes, or luckily some people just get like an extra position. So you kind of get to see like behind the scenes and things like that. And you said you started working with writing and maybe producing by meeting people in the community. Do you feel like that slowed any process down? Like, did it slow your learning your craft of acting because you started to focus on writing and producing, or how did that, or did you think it like helped you in all areas because you were kind of dipping in the whole of acting?
Yeah, so that's a great question, actually. Writing started when I had to audition to get into the class. I remember thinking, where do I find a monologue? How am I get a monologue that I can really do? And I had a girl that she said, she came up to me and she's like, just write it. I said, write it? We have that kind of freedom? Just write something? Just write it, right? So I decided to write like a breakup, like the last person that I almost loved. It's a whole story in itself, but I wrote about that situation and the conversation I would have had with him. And it was actually really sweet and funny. And like, now that I'm thinking back on it, I had my dad sit as my eyeline, and I didn't tell him what it was about. And I just turned to him and I did the monologue, and he started crying. And so I started crying, and I can't even say that was like any acting skill or anything. It was just like my sweet dad is like bawling. And so now I'm crying, and I didn't have waterproof mascara. Anyway, it was a hot flaming mess, but I got in the class. And so from then I started writing more. And so we'll do a scene, and I would write like a little comedy sketch in class, and then someone's like, that's funny. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't suck. Let's keep doing it. And so when it came to the full process, it was acting joined with writing because of the skits we did in class or the scenes we did in class. And then from there, I wanted to learn what it was like to fully start and finish a project. And it was mainly to learn for myself, because I had things that I wanted to write, stories I wanted to tell. So there was somebody who's actually amazing that I work with now. He asked me to produce on a short film. And he was willing to teach me. So he's actually a DP, and he worked with the acting coach that is in the class. And so he's pretty established in the industry, but he was willing to take me in and say, I like you. I'm going to teach you something. And I said, thank you. And if you come in, I feel like if you come in humbly and you don't come in trying to pretend you know anything, people are willing to give you all of the advice, and they're willing to help you, and you don't have to play pretend. So he hired me, and I was like, I warn you now, I have experience in like corporate. I do not have experience in acting when it comes to producing, but if you're willing to believe in me, I will work my tuchus off. And then so I don't feel like it's hindered me. I just make sure that I don't take on too many projects that will keep me from being able to act and be creative. And I love my friends, but I am an actor first. So I understand that it's a rare skill for actors to be able to focus long enough to be able to like complete a task at times, juggle multiple balls. But there are other people out there, don't call me.
Well, that's that's awesome. I think I find with just like getting into this, and I know if Heather or Keira feel the same way, it's hard for me to say no to things, because I'm like, I want to keep practicing. I want to be involved. I want to, like, what if I miss out on something? Not just like something that might snowball into something else, but it's like, what if I miss something I could practice on or learn a skill because I didn't take that class or I didn't do that like side project that somebody in class is working on. So it's very hard for me to say no, but that's why I asked the question, like, how do you kind of hone it in, and I think it's like you show that you're so passionate about writing and you're like, I'm passionate about writing, I'm passionate about acting, and I want to learn about producing. So with that, did you quit your day job so you could focus on just those 3 passions? And what was your process in that?
So if you didn't already fall in love with my dad, because he's the best ever, my dad actually called me one day and he's like, why are you working at the job you're working at? I said, because bills, like, they don't pay themselves. And I got myself a little in over my head with the apartment that I wanted to stay in because I wanted to stay somewhere nice. And if I don't work these 2, maybe like, I can't even say like 3, because I was singing in cover bands and stuff and subbing. So that's 1 job split into 2. I was like, money, And he said, well, here, why don't you come work for me, quit your job, and focus all of your attention and energy on what you really want to love, what you really want to do, because I love you and I'm happy when you're happy. And I was like, who told you this? Did God literally wake you up in the middle of the night and whisper in your ear and like you wrote this down and then decided to call me the next day? Because that is like truly a blessing for someone to just come in and say that. So I started off when I was working for him. He ended up not having a lot of tasks for me to do. And I was like, okay, Dad, I love you, but you're not just going to give me money for no reason. So we're going to need to work something out. And then I started, helping. So.
Nice. Does your dad want to adopt me?
I know.
Fine. I mean, I'm a little bit older, but I'm available for adoption. Yeah.
With kids and a whole family, and I don't know if he has enough room in his house right now.
Okay. No, just me. I will leave the kids and husband.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, so that obviously had to free you up for at least time. And if you want to do auditions or work on your short films, which I really want to hear about. So how did you said that producer, is that correct? Kind of helped you in the short. Was that the first short you worked on, or did you kind of take it away and start your own short?
So that was the first short that I worked on. And then from there, I had a friend that came to me and he said, I want to create, a short, like an action drama. And I was like, well, I just finished producing this one. I still have documents. I feel like I know a little bit more. And again, let's include the corporate experience. Let's go for it. So we did it. And I probably, because it was a short, you don't have to do as much, but I'm really thorough. So I went a little above and beyond, probably too much. And it was fun. But yeah, that's how I got into the second one. And then from there, I teamed together with one of the actors in my class here locally. And we decided to write something. And so we're working on a TV show and we're writing a pilot that we're going to pitch. And thank you, actress community. I took a class on how to do pitch decks. So I was able to improve the little crusty deck that I used in the past and do it proper. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but yeah.
No, it did. And so what is your process for anybody out there trying to start their own short? If you don't mind sharing some of your tips, what is your process of getting a short together? Because there's a lot of moving pieces to get just like a 10-minute, show together sometimes.
Right. So I would say first, figure out what kind of team you want. Like how many people are you really going to need to make this realistic? Obviously you have to like break down to the nitty gritty of, how, like what my budget's going to be, but overall, let's just like think about it. If you have to rent gear, it's going to cost. So this can't be for free. So we know that for a fact. Do you know enough people that are willing to help you out? Maybe it's like a non-union situation. You might have some friends that you love, but they're SAG actors. Are you going to make your project SAG? Like, what are we going to do here? So figure out that. And then I would get together with the writer and I would kind of just better understand the vision for that project. And then I would go from there. So just figure out the framework, build the frame, and then figure out who you need, who you can hire. And if it's super low budget, that pretty much means you're going to do everything. So figure out what you can do and what you don't know how to do. Be honest about it I wouldn't come in like, I don't know what to do. Like, come in a little confident, like, I'll figure it out. So if someone asks me, do you know? I'll be like, no, but I will figure it out. I will learn. I will come back to you. So there was a moment where on the last project, they were like, okay, we need contracts. And I thought we were going to have somebody who had contracts or somebody who could produce these contracts, but they were looking at me and they're like, give me contracts. And I'm like, so I went online and I found some contracts, and then I went to my dad, again, amazing. And I asked him to help me like change the language. Then I called my friends and I'm like, hey, you have some contracts from previous projects you worked on. Can you send me those, like the ones before you sign them? And then I would take the language from that, because COVID changed everything and I needed that COVID like waiver in it. Mm-hmm. So literally I created a Google Drive folder, Google Doc folder, and then I would just create all of these little categories, and then I would make sure I filled the folders and organized it. And then I had a list of all the crap Veronica's got to get done and who she needs to delegate it to. Mm-hmm. And I would do that. And then people who I knew and respected, I would call them for advice if I was in a bind. And so really it's just organizing, making sure you have the right people on the project. And I would say the most complicated part and the hardest part of producing is dealing with the very intricate parts of other people's personalities, mm-hmm. because sometimes it's hard for people to remember that it's not about us as individuals. Mm-hmm. We're all coming together to get a project done. And so you have to find ways with people who might be more sensitive, or people that they have, ego or whatever it is. And you have to literally die to yourself. You don't exist. Your emotions are just obsolete. And you have to help serve the project. So I would say the most complicated is when someone like poof in your face, and you have to just like wipe it and then not snap on them in the moment, and then like take a moment and then come back. I don't mean actual spit. I mean, it's just me being dramatic, but like the little things don't matter in the overall, because you can kill the energy and kill the team.
Yeah. And then with that being said, dealing with all those different personalities and as well as all those tasks that you have to do and kind of learn completely new steps and things to get the things done. Do you find as a woman, do you find it more difficult since you've worked? Because with, I'm assuming that the other project was maybe with a male that you kind of learned. Is that correct in saying that? Like the first project you worked with was a male. Do you find it different being the lead as a female?
Yes, I do, because sometimes men will look at you and be like, oh, you're a woman, you're sweet. Or they'll take my personality. Like I can be goofy and funny and nice and everything. And I don't really have a middle. So it's like, I'm nice and fun, I'm goofy. No middle, don't mess with me, we're gonna freaking have a problem, And so I don't like to have to snap into like straight up, like I'm not playing, it's business. I love when there's in the middle where there's professionalism. You may know me, but we're on set. It's professional. We're working together. So I feel like I had to have side conversations respectfully with men and say, hey, by the way, like, I understand that you've introduced the men in this way, and there's an understanding as to like what their roles and jobs are, and people are going to respect that because they're a man. I'm a woman, and unfortunately you're going to have to be the one to introduce me to make it respectful, because it's your project and I don't want to come in bossy and be like, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, right? But if you're the one who wrote it or created it, you can go ahead and lay that framework, so then when I come in, everybody already understands and it doesn't look like I'm trying to be bossy. You've already introduced me as a person that's going to be leading. And so I feel like as a woman, we have to have side conversations, sometimes men to get it. But I try not to let that upset me or make me bitter, because I look at it from their perspective. If I know they have a good heart and they just don't know any better, I don't mind educating you with love. It's just, if you show me that you don't care and you want to look down upon me because I'm a woman, now we're having a problem.
Yeah. I understand that. And then, so you were talking about getting people together and figuring out like the team that you need. How do you, and you mentioned budget, how do you go about budgeting? Because I know some people get grants to budget this, or they're already a film company. So how do you go about getting your budget?
So far, it's been like projects where people had the money and they just put their own money up. The last project, I also helped to executive produce. So I put some money into that too. I wanted to invest in my friend's project. In addition, I thought it'd be a great learning experience for me. And I wanted to put some more skin in the game. Plus, I wanted it to get done. That's what it would require. So yeah, so far it's just been self-funding.
Okay.
But I know what you're talking about as far as grants.
Yeah.
I know that my next project, we did have, in order to be able to contact other companies and do kind of like an exchange of services, we brought in some like chains. Like we had, I think it was LA Burger. He knew someone at LA Burger. And so they actually sponsored the meals that day. So then we could use that. So then I could contact another company and say, hey, we already have this major chain on here and they're sponsoring. Do you want to donate X, Y, and Z? And so you could kind of leverage that way. And then going in the future, I'm probably going to contact some small businesses and say like, hey, let's do some brand placement. Throw me some bucks here, throw me some bucks there. Let's make it happen. So yeah, I would say the next one, I would probably do some self-funding and then see if I can get other people's money.
Hey, I'm here for that. That's the best kind of money. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit, but I do want to talk about the shorts that you have done. Do you have an agent, and how is that journey about getting that agent if you have one?
So I do not have an agent. All of the work that I get is through referrals and just like relationships. And I'm going to LA next month to get proper headshots because I technically have some, but it's like 2. And I have one where I'm like smiling like this, and then one where I'm just like serious and whatever. So those are okay, but it doesn't give you a lot to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and update my headshots. And then when I do that, I'm going to reach out to a bunch of people. And my friends have already said they wanted to like refer me to like their agencies and stuff like that. So no, I do not have one. You can still get work, but if you want to be on like Marvel or something, I'm sure you're going to need an agent.
Yeah. No, that's great that you are doing all this without an agent. Because I feel like, there is this viewpoint that you have to have an agent to act or produce or write. And like, that's your first step, but you clearly can do it. And I think we just had a guest that we released, Chris Cortez, like he got an agent by being on the set and they're like, yeah, we'll represent you. So that's great that you're doing all this. And I think that's amazing that you're like, I don't need an agent. I can go out here and do it. And then I'll get one down the road. And then it gives you that experience that you might not have, beforehand. So next question is, what do you think your greatest success is so far?
We're talking about success. Like I don't consider success how many projects you've done or, how big you are, how much you've been paid. Success means like on your journey, how have you contributed? So I love the idea that we're all here to love each other and we're collaborating and we're just on this journey of life. And like, if you can go on your journey and bless other people and make their lives better, then you are succeeding. And so I would say mine is coming together with my friends and helping their dreams come true and also seeing how they've helped me. And so I don't know if this is like such a woo-woo-wah answer, but my greatest success would be successfully collaborating with people and knowing that we've walked away from these encounters with love and knowing they're empowered. Like I have a friend, when I first met him, he seemed super depressed and kind of like he was just going through a hard time. He didn't know who to trust. And, he's a handsome gentleman. So there's a lot of women that wanted him probably. And he just, I'm not saying it like poor him, right? Oh, poor, whoa, that guy, but, sometimes it's hard to know who to trust, especially if you've been hurt, somebody broke your heart, whatever it is. But I wanted nothing from him, purely platonic. I just wanted to be a good friend, wanted to love. And through our friendship, I feel like there was some beautiful healing. And I'm like, if I could be a part of that, even though we're acting, like that happened. And honestly, that's more important than just telling a story. That's helping to impact somebody's story that they can then go tell, and then it would impact that person, ripple effect.
Do you have any awful audition stories to tell?
I mean, Ashley can share one of her.
Nope, we've already shared it. Already been out there.
Did I let it out?
Like you said, what?
I was like, it's already been out there. It's already out. You've already heard it.
I wouldn't say that I had any awful audition experiences. When we switched to Zoom being the new form of live auditioning, there was a moment where I did the first, like, I did the take, and they're like, okay, well, here's the redirect. We want you to do this. And then he, I think it was about like space or something. I was some kind of like military general in space, or I don't know. So he's like, we want you to make it funny. Throw an improv. And I'm like, oh crap, I don't know how to make this funny, but let's go for it. So I'm not going to show that I'm like thrown off by it. So I just decided to say everything like I just didn't care. And then he said, throw the lines away. So I started calling, I don't know what I said. I said something about space junk, and my tripod fell. I was like, imagine I'm auditioning and then it's like, and it just falls. Okay. And they just start laughing, and I'm like, I'm going to go with it. And so I picked my tripod back off the floor, and they thought it was hilarious. So it failed because I was auditioning and my camera fell, but they ended up liking it.
That's awesome. Well, now that we've asked my middle parts questions, I'm going to hand you off to Heather.
So usually towards the end, we like to ask our guests how you typically prepare for auditions, or if you're on set for the day, like, do you have any routines that you do? Are there any methods that you tend to go to prep? It could be to memorize them or to perform them.
Yeah. When it comes to breaking down this, like, you mean the sides or like learning your parts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of books out there that kind of teach you how to develop it. Thank you, Actors Community. We know that there's classes on that, so that's wonderful. And there's checklists that you kind of go down to help you really understand your character and know why you're saying what. But when it comes to memorizing lines, I know there's a lot of people that have like a jillion different methods. What I like to do is read it through and then take, like, obviously a few times, and then take the first chunk of it and say it, and then say the other person's part, and then just say mine like I'm having a conversation with them, so that I make the words real. And even if I have to just do like the first line, second line, I don't want to necessarily memorize the line more than I want to memorize the entire conversation. So I could make it very boring if I'm like, the dog went up, the dog went up. Or if I can envision a dog going up a flight of stairs and say, oh, the dog went up. And so then it becomes real, and they're real words attached to reality. And so I'll do that. And then when I actually go through my lines, I will just say like my parts, and then I will imagine the responses from the other person, but I don't actually like say theirs out loud. And then towards the end, when I've officially learned my lines, I pull my phone out, and then I record just the other person's parts. And I start off the recording and I say like scene 1 or something like that. And then I'm like 1, 2, 3, and I like give it a beat. And because I can envision how much time I would probably need to breathe and say what I need to say, I'll give it that amount of time in the recording. And I usually give it more, so then it's not so like programmed. Mm-hmm. And even if that person like jumps on my line, that person, it's me, the recording, jumps on me saying my part, it's okay. You never know how the other actor's actually going to do their part. And it makes it to where you can't always time everything perfectly. So it's not so routine. And then after I've done that and I feel confident enough that I know my lines, I'll probably go to somebody and be like, hey, can you read this? And so they'll read it with me. And then when I'm fully done with that, then I'll just try to be silly with it. I'll just like do it in another accent, which I'm not that great at, just whatever kind of something comes out. And then I'm like, okay, throw it away, plan and prepare. Let's get my outfit ready. Let's make sure that my hair's not crazy, because fro hair, I'm telling you guys, it might be cute. It's like a chia pet. Have you seen those chia pets where you gotta like prune it and spray it and like, die if you forget to like whisper love to it every night or something? That's my hair. So I have to really, that's a whole process. And then I get my lights ready. I set it up. It's not always perfect, but I'll do like a test. And then I record that bad boy, and I do it in a way where it's like, I'm not trying to impress you. Mm-hmm. I just want to tell this story and honor it in the way that it's written, add what only I can add as a unique individual. See, if you like it, you like it. You don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine. And then so that's my process for like self-tapes. Same process if I get the job learning the lines. going to set, I like to be like super early, not there. So hear me out first. I like to be super early as far as like driving in that general vicinity.
Mhm.
And then I will probably go and like park somewhere. I don't want to be super creepy, so I'm not going to like park outside right at the spot and they just know there's a car and there's pressure. Like in casting, I've seen people show up like an hour and a half early and they're just sitting there and we're running late and I feel like their car just looking at me, you know? So I'll probably park like further up and then maybe like 30 minutes when it's time, I'll like park and then get out, maybe make it like 25 minutes early or something or 15, but I try not to be annoying about it. And then I just make sure I have everything ready, like anything you can think of, it's organized and it's ready because thank you, COVID. We wear these masks and sometimes they do not account for the fact that you have to rip this sweaty cloth off your face
Mhm.
and have to reapply like powder every time and it steals your makeup, right? And your lips, everything. So the last commercial I did, we had to wear the masks inside. And then right before we would shoot, he was like, okay, masks off. And I was like, oh God, help me. Right. Cause like I sweat, like, I don't know what it is, but my face, I don't know. And so, super oily and gross. And I just pulled him aside and I was like, hey, do you think like when it's time to take it off, you can just let me know. I just need like 20 seconds, just quick in the corner. Like I have my makeup powder brush, like in the basket. Just let me know because I've got oily skin. It won't look cute on camera. So instead of it being like, oh, I'm a diva, I need powder. It's more of like my pores and the oil that is secreting will be disgusting on camera. Let's go ahead and deal with it. So then you don't have to like spend money trying to cut around my face. And so I did that and yeah.
I know. I like a class on Sunday and we were there for 8 hours and it was a commercial class. And when we like filmed, he made us take our mask off and it was like just orange makeup. I was like, is my makeup this orange? Does this really how I look? You know, but I know what you're saying. It was a hot mess. I was like, ugh.
So none of us have actually done any filming during COVID times. Can you just talk, sorry, Heather, to jump in, just only because we're on the subject. Can you talk us through a little bit of how it's changed the process of which you've got to film things when you're masking up and social distancing and all that sort of stuff?
Yes, it varies from project to project. It's Texas, again, unique. Okay. Half the people care. Half the people are like, what is COVID? I don't even know what that is. Right. Like they like legitimately don't. So depending on what's like, you obviously want to be somewhere responsible. Right. So if it's just some like super low budget guy who grabbed his iPhone and is like, we're going to make something in the back. Like I'm not doing that project. Right. So the projects I've worked on, the professional ones, if it's super, super like low budget commercial, they'll just make sure that they can't require you to quarantine for 2 weeks, but they say like, don't be stupid for 2 weeks, please. And if you have any problem, like, cause there's people on set where their kids are like sick and people are sick. So they ask you to be as responsible as possible. And then you have to wear masks. And then unless you're actively acting in that scene, they want you to distance. And so that's what they'll do because that's all they can do and they try to like clean stuff. When we did our short, I had like a temperature gun. We had masks at all times pretty much. And then there was a person in particular who I will not name. That person was very, very scared of anything. And so we were in this trailer. So we rented out this trailer and we did the set design to make it look like a trap house because the guy was supposed to be a heroin addict, but like their house was supposed to be disgusting. So we like papered the walls and ripped it and it was crazy. And so it's a small trailer. You've got kind of I wouldn't say a bunch of people, but the crew was at least 6 people alone. And so she took a bottle of Lysol and sprayed the whole trailer just like, until like the bottle was halfway gone almost. And we're like coughing and dying underneath our masks. My eyes are burning. Like all of us are coughing. We had to open the door to let the air out. So I wouldn't recommend doing that so you don't die. But
that's poison.
That's poison. But in the commercial that I'm shooting Friday, I'm not shooting anything, producing. We had to go and get a test. And I actually went today. It was an hour before our meeting now.
Wow.
And the swab looks like, how big is this thing? It's like
This long.
The one that they stick up your nose.
It's like this long, and they're like, stick it in your. Some places make you do it yourself, and I'm like, can you not do this for me? Because I know I'm not going to do it right.
So here's this guy, perfect eyebrows. He's kind of hot. I'm just putting it out there. And he shows up to the car, and he has like this very long like swab, and I'm just looking at it like, okay. So then he's like, I just need you to like tilt your head back. So I'm holding onto the steering wheel because it hasn't registered to me like we're doing this. I think subconsciously I was thinking I might just drive away. So I'm sitting here and I like lean back like awkwardly, like, and I scoot down. And so the guy takes this swab and he puts it in there, and then he just keeps circling it. And I'm like, and so I'm hoping, I'm trying to be strong. I don't want to like cry. I don't want snot to drip down because that's nasty. So I'm trying. And so I asked him, like, are you done? And he's like, yes, with that one. I said, you have to do the other one? Why? Can't you? I don't understand. What is there, COVID in only one nostril? Like, what is this? So I turn and he does the other one. He's like laughing because, I'm a little bit dramatic.
No.
And then he leaves, but it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. But I survived and I'm here. So
that's good. Yeah. When I was tested like back at the beginning of the school year because I was like all like stuffy and stuff. It was negative, but after she did the second nostril, my nose started bleeding.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's normal. And I'm like, yeah, because you scraped my brain.
Like, you were halfway in my brain. That's why.
Like I literally came up off the table and she just kept going. And I was just like, oh my God. So at least you didn't have blood just start, like coming out.
Yeah. It's not fun. But did you do a quick test? Like quick rapid test? Yeah. That's the one they like stick it. They do it like 15, or at least the one I had. She was like 15 seconds. I was like, you're going to be in both sides of my brain for 30 seconds. Like, made it though. I'm here.
I don't know what's better, to like not warn you or warn you, and then you're already like preparing to suffer, or just like
they would just do both at one time, just two separate people, just jam it up same time, go and be done.
I've not had to have one, and I do want to have one.
So I wanted to talk to you about your short films. I know that you just had one, Chad, that came out and got a lot of acknowledgement. So I would love to hear about those.
Yeah, Chad was so much fun. It was a romantic comedy, and it was about a guy who was not okay with his sister dating. So he wanted to sabotage it by being weird, but he's kept up this act as if he was weird for a very long time. So then the moment and the day would come where he could be weird, his fake self, and then like make the guy go away. And so it's really funny. It was actually the Indie Short Fest, and I wrote it down, Los Angeles International Film Festival, because I do not have photographic memory, although I wish I did. And yeah, it got some recognition. It's still in the film festival circuit, so I haven't been able to show it yet, but I literally cannot wait. It is funny, and I couldn't actually see everything while we were shooting it. So when they would choose certain angles, like I kind of got it, but not really. And then through the editing process, you can kind of see it being strung together and like, wow, that's pretty cool. So it's going to be great.
Yeah. Have you worked at all in editing, or you're just strictly producing? Because editing is a beast on its own.
It's a beast. I would like to say I have patience for something like that. I do not. And it's very tedious. I can't. But because I want to learn the entire process, I'm one of those people where I'll be like, hey, can I sit in the room with you while you're editing something? Because I want to see it. And then I made I think it was like an Instagram video or something about jewelry. I don't know if y'all I think a few of you guys were friends on Instagram, but I did a video a while back on jewelry, and I was thinking about being like an ambassador for this jewelry company, and then quickly I gave up on that because I'm like, whoop, too much energy, too much time. But I made a video and it was fun, and I edited it, and it took like a day. And that's when I said, this is not the life for me, not doing it. And then I collaborated with Chris Backus, who you had on the show. Yeah, and he's a beast at editing. Like, he cranks those suckers out real fast. And I'm like, how did you do this? Like in an hour? I don't understand.
He's so good. I know.
He's like on speed dial. We're like, Chris, how do you do this? Chris, hey, like, Chris, how do you do this?
help me, please. Yeah, he's amazing. But that's awesome and what about your other short films? Because you have two others, one that you acted in and another one you produced, correct?
So both of them I just produced. I didn't
Oh,
act.
okay.
And yeah, the second project, which is the most recent Living movie,
Yes.
I did not edit that or sit in the editing room. But I was able to kind of have a better understanding from the first process. So I was like, okay, the first one was good. Now I better understand why you're getting certain shots and how you're going to put it together.
Mhm.
I saw the first edit that we did in like post-production, but it's still being edited. So I haven't seen the second draft, but I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. Awesome.
We say short films. How short? What's like the typical length of a short film?
It depends. I mean, in Texas, because people want to be able to get stuff on their IMDb, if we're being 100%, they will do something that's like a minute, 30 seconds and call it a short, 2 minutes, call it a short. I would say usually the shorts that I've seen are like 5 to 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Ours is probably going to be about like 20 to 30 because there's action and there's like a fight scene where it gets messy. Fun little story real quick. So we were supposed to have a makeup artist and then we ended up not. She had like a health issue like last minute and I was like, oh snap. So I talked to my friend who she did the casting for it and also she was over set design. And so she came over my house and I was like, we have to make fake blood. Gotta make fake blood. How do you do it? So we're like Googling fake blood. And then I was like, the guy has to have track marks. How do we do this? So we went to the dollar store because budgeting. And we decided to get dollar store makeup, which it's not that bad. And I practiced like bruises all on her arm. And so I actually have photos of where I tried to make her look absolutely beat up.
Mhm.
And then I put fake blood and we like tested it in the light. We're like, this is good. So I had to make squibs and all that. And we did it. So yeah.
Well done.
What did you use for the fake blood? Corn syrup and red food coloring?
Yes, but instead of corn syrup, which is actually white, but it's not white, it's clear, I use maple syrup because it's darker. And then I used
Oh, that's smart.
Yes, I
Yummy.
used
But maple syrup is expensive compared to corn syrup.
the dollar store.
There you go. There we go.
Dollar store is probably going to taste like trash, but hey.
Probably not even maple syrup.
Probably not.
And we put a little bit of cornstarch in it to like make it kind of thick.
Mhm.
And then some corn syrup, trial and error. I mean, we put food dye, red food dye again, dollar store. And then what else? I think, we made a mistake. Okay, I made a mistake because I thought it would be a great idea to put corn oil, like some oil to separate it or something. Horrible. It just made it like gloopy, like the viscosity was off. So it was trash. And so my friend's like, let's put water in it. And I'm like, that's going to ruin it. So she puts water in it. It was perfect. And then we tested it. I had my dad donated us a shirt and we ripped the shirt because it was supposed to be like a knife and I didn't know how they were going to pull that off at the time. So we ripped it and I had her like fake put it here and I like kind of like poked it with a nail or something and it bled and it was proper. It was perfect.
That's
There we go.
awesome.
So which short was this one you did?
This was Living movie.
So let us know when that comes out so we can check
Oh.
your face
Well-
handiwork.
Sorry, another question about short films, because there's so many different rules. I didn't know this, but there's so many different rules for submitting your short, right? And then every kind of festival is slightly different.
Mhm.
So, I mean, do you just kind of decide this is what we want the movie to be like and then submit it to the festivals that it can fit in? Or do you think about those festivals and say, I really want a short to be submitted into this festival? Like, what is that world like?
Yeah, we just made the story we wanted to make and then we went and checked to see which festivals it could go in. And then
Mhm.
so we didn't cater it to the festivals. We just decided to make some pretty awesome content. We're like, let's hope this works out. And then we found festivals that it could go under.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Sorry, Heather, you can ask all the questions now. I'm
No,
done.
it's okay. That's fine. There was another one I wanted to ask because you obviously have been on set in different roles. So
Mhm.
do you have any advice from the standpoint of a producer or director for actors on set? Whether it's, I don't know, it could be any, just ideally, what would you like to see actors do?
Yes. Okay. That's actually an incredible question because it's something that I wouldn't have known unless I actually produced something. I would say as an actor, come extremely prepared, not just from learning your lines, but come prepared for what all of the job will require from you. And if you know that you're the type of person that's kind of cold, bring a jacket. If you know that you need tea all the time, bring a thermos, bring your tea. Because, I mean, unless it's some big project and you're like some mega celebrity, there's probably not somebody specifically there for you to go get you 7 teas and, you know, want it the way you want, 2 lumps of sugar. Like, we don't have time for this. And I love you, but like, you know, don't bring a cashmere sweater if we're out in the woods, but you want somebody to hold it because you don't want leaves to get on it. Like, plan this out. Come, like, if you know that, you know, you want to be even more cautious when you're on set because of COVID and stuff. Like, yeah, they'll have hand sanitizer and sanitary wipes and but bring your own. Bring a little bitty pouch, have like a little pouch with you, because you can always like throw it off set and come back and get it, but don't expect somebody to be there to help you and like hold your hand with the smaller things. And so, because the last project I helped with set design, I did props, I did like all of the pre-production, I did the contracts, I did like name it. I had my hands in everywhere. And then we were short on PAs. So I had literally like, sorry, my hair got caught, it doesn't matter. I had boots and tennis shoes because we were in kind of like nasty, swampy, like, it's not swampy, but I don't know the term to use for like muddy mud. It's really gritty.
Yeah.
And then I had tennis shoes to run back and forth, but I also had to do catering. So here I am having to like produce and then like help all the PAs, whichever PAs that we were able to have at the time, because, you know, stuff happens. And then I had to run and get the food prepared. And I have people coming up to me and they're like, hey, my throat's a little dry. Can I get the, and so I'm like, well, we got a PA that's setting up over here. And then we have it like I couldn't tell them, we don't have somebody for you. So I was like, don't worry, I'll get the tea. So I went, I got the tea. And then about 30 minutes later, the person's like, the tea's cold. It's cold outside. Can we just get like some warmer tea and then maybe like a little more sugar? So I'm like,
I can.
Tea and sugar will we?
So it's like having toddlers. That's what you're telling me.
I mean, you said it, I didn't say it. But I would say that if we had to figure out what it's like, just be, you know, just be prepared.
Try to be self-sufficient.
Yes. And if they bring you tea, that's wonderful. But we can all get a thermos, you know?
That's really nice, because we've had somebody else say, oh goodness, I cannot remember who it was. I want to say it was like Andrew Rothme or something, who was literally like, being an actor, you are the least important person on set. Like, you are the least important part of the machine, and you have to realize that. So it's obviously, you get to a point when you've done enough, when you realize this about yourself and about your standing, but maybe lower down the ranks, when you still have the aspirations of being an actor, maybe they don't realize that they're just the smallest cog in the working machine, and they need to get their own damn tea.
Yeah, so much going on.
People, listen to this. Listen to what she's saying. Bring your tea. And
It's good info. You know?
It is, yeah. I mean, I would never think about bringing my own I mean, I usually have a water bottle with me, but I would never think of like, is it going to be a long shoot? Maybe I need some coffee or tea, whatever you drink. I would have never thought about that. Or do I need to have a jacket? Or am I going to be outside? Like, probably would have brought one, but I don't know, like things like that. So that's really good insight that I wouldn't have thought of.
I would add one thing, like, they will have food and they will have snacks, but you never really know what kind of snacks they're going to have. And I don't know about you, but I'm the type of person, if I eat a bunch of carbs, forget it. Like, I'm done for. I'm like, wait, what's my name? Like, I can't remember anything. And so bring like a protein bar, and like, don't be snobby about it. Be like, I don't want snacks. Like, I'm gonna, like, don't be like that, you know? But even if you have to like take a snack, you might not have to eat it. You can put it back when no one's watching or something, but bring your own stuff. Yeah. And then know who to ask the questions, like, know who you need to talk to. And the person that's running around like this, that is not the person to ask all of your questions, okay? That's not the person. And if you don't know who the person is, walk up to maybe somebody with a walkie, right? Because half the time they have a walkie-talkie, they're talking to someone. So then you can ask them like, hey, I have some questions. Who do I need to speak to? Who should I speak to? and then maybe they can direct you. Realistically, like if you're asking those questions, you're probably like a little bit greener. And I say greener, y'all, I've been doing this for 2.5 years. So I would still consider myself on the green spectrum, but I'm just saying, like, if you absolutely don't know, you can do that. But I'm sure if you had to ask like a real significant question, you can ask the AD, like, hey, I got a question here, and make sure it's significant, because half the time if you just sit and watch or you listen to something, you might answer your question, you know?
Yeah. Well, towards the end, we always like to ask everybody, what are 3 words that you would use to describe your career or your path so far? And what is your one piece of advice that you would give to aspiring actors or producers or yourself, you know, a few years ago when you were just starting out?
Yeah. To describe my career in 3 words, I would say determined, passionate, and can I throw in 4? Loving and thorough. Okay, there we go.
We can find that from you straight up from this interview. You can, I can be like, yes, that is you. Like how you've accomplished so much in such a short space of time is just phenomenal. You're so driven, so focused. I need some of that, please.
Oh, y'all are so sweet. So, and then the second part is, I would say that believe that there's some story that you have, something that only you can tell, right? We all have an experience. And so if you have to start somewhere, tell a story that you've actually been a part of already, and then just relive that story, right? And so don't wait for somebody to open a door for you. Go ahead and create content and open your own door. And so I feel like if there's something you want to be in, make it. And then as it builds traction, as more people see it, then you just have a bigger budget to do it even more proper. And that was said improperly. That was not proper grammar, but you get what I'm saying.
We're not proper here.
No,
we don't care about that.
No, that was really good advice. So every time we end our podcast, we always like to end with guest choice. And you can talk about where people can find you on social media. If you've got anything new coming out, which you already mentioned a couple of things, if you had things that you're working on right now that you can share, or just anything, guest choice, totally up to you.
Do a little song.
You said what, love?
Do a little song.
Oh my God.
Oh yes.
No. Yes, you can find me on Instagram. It's Veronica V Clayton, and then IMDb Veronica Clayton, and then that is where I focus most of my attention. I would like to say I'm on TikTok, but I'm not that active on TikTok because I only have so much energy right now. But that's where you can find me. Yeah, and I'll be posting videos about the behind the scenes on the photo shoots that are coming up. And so look out for that. I think I'm going to put it on Instagram and YouTube. And then I have a commercial that I'm producing on Friday. Super excited about that. Super excited. It's the first time doing something that big. Like it's a pretty big commercial. So yes, any future projects, just follow me on Instagram. Let's stay connected.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, yeah. We can't wait to see your shorts when they're released.
I know. Cannot wait. And I can't wait to see the behind the scenes things. I think that's really a cool thing to put out there. So again, thank you so much. We loved having you on. I'm so excited when you said you would do it. And just appreciate you. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you so
Oh.
much.
Love you guys. Thank you for
Great.